Namaste friends, I am Jayalakshmi Ravichandran signing in on behalf of Magic Needles. This day I am here with pattern 12 that I have used in my blanket. I have used skin color of Hobby Store Special DK yarn from Magic Needles and the color code is 5018. This is the 12th pattern I have used in my blanket. I have used cluster stitches for this. This pattern is worked over multiples of 2 stitches. But it will reduce to an odd number of stitches when we place the pattern. Let us go about it. The blanket has 302 stitches. One stitch will be adjusted in either of the ends. Like in the blanket, I have here in my swatch 34 stitches. It's a multiple of 2. Let's begin working. Place the first DC, standing DC here in the very first stitch, standing twisted DC, and we begin the DC cluster in the same stitch as we place the DC. So yarn over, we make half complete double crochet. We don't complete the double crochet, then skip the next DC, yarn over, another half complete double crochet, and then complete the DC cluster. Chain 1, begin your second DC cluster in the same place where you had completed your first cluster, that is here in the stitch where you placed your second half complete double crochet. Place the half complete double crochet here, skip one, and now complete these 2 DC cluster. Again chain 1, begin in the same place where you had completed the stitch, skip one. The skipping one is only for the first row. The pattern repeats its second row. Skip one. So pattern repeat is skip one, make the DC cluster beginning from the stitch where we placed your last DC. Let us I'll complete and get back to you. We've come to the last leg here in this row. After this DC cluster, chain 1, start in the same, and place your last DC here. Complete this and place one DC over here. This will keep the stitches straight here. Actually what we do is, we don't complete this, since we'll be left with last 2 stitches. So we'll finish off by skipping one. We finish off the incomplete DC in the very last stitch and place one DC over there. But for the pattern, we are just placing one DC in the same place as we completed and placing our last DC in the last stitch. This is just to adjust the pattern in the stitches that we have on the blanket. What? Turn your work. Make the first standing double crochet here in the very first stitch. Begin your DC cluster in the very same stitch. Incomplete DC in this first one, and then we'll work in the chain 1 space. We have a chain 1 space here, yarn over. the second incomplete DC in the chain space and complete the DC cluster. Chain 1. Begin the incomplete DC in the same chain 1 place where we completed the last DC cluster. And then in the next chain 1 space we make the second half of the incomplete, that is half complete DC, and complete the DC cluster. So this is how. We end here and begin in the same stitch. We end here, we begin the next stitch in this stitch itself. So the DC clusters are made this way, beginning in the place where we ended the DC cluster. Henceforth we will be working only in chain 1 spaces. So this is how the pattern repeats. Pattern repeat is chain 1, begin the half complete DC in the stitch where you completed your previous stitch, yarn over, again place the second half incomplete half closed DC in the chain 1 space, pull up the yarn and yarn over and complete the DC cluster. This is how you work till the end. Chain 1 DC cluster, chain 1 DC cluster, beginning in the same place where we ended the previous DC cluster. We've come to the end of the second row. Chain 1, begin in the same place where we completed. And place the last DC here in the very last stitch. So we have done 2 rows. We can make one more row and then end the pattern with a DC row. Again turn your work. Begin your half closed DC in the very first stitch and over the second in the chain 1 space and chain 1. This is the pattern: chain 1 DC cluster in the chain spaces, chain 1 DC cluster in chain spaces, interlinking the DCs, that is the chain spaces where we completed the first. We begin from there only. I'll complete the pattern of this row and get back to you. Come to the end of the row here. Now place the last DC on the last stitch here. Next row is place 1 DC on each of the DCs and 1 DC on 1 DC in chain 1 space. So that will give you the total number of DCs required for your blanket or the pattern. You began with 34, so you have to have 34. In the blanket you began with 302 DCs, so you have to end it with 302 DCs. Thank you friends for watching. Have a nice day. This is the pattern. This looks very beautiful. This pattern I've already used for my ergonomic crochet hook holder. Thank you friends. Have a great day. Shall meet you with another pattern in the next video.